Have you ever wondered why after turning 60, your home always seems cluttered, even though you're not lazy about cleaning? And what really makes it that way? Is it because there's just too much stuff? Or is it because a part of us deep down isn't ready to let go? I used to think about that question a lot until I met Mrs. Irene, a neighbor whose name I had known for months, but whose story I never knew. Have you ever had a neighbor like that? Someone you know by name, but know nothing else about. Have you ever seen a door that's always slightly ajar, with lights still on late into the night, and never any laughter or the smell of food coming from inside? I used to be that person too. House number 47 was just 3 steps from mine. The owner moved in last spring. Her name is Irene, a petite woman with silver hair and a slow walk, who didn't talk to anyone in the neighborhood. She didn't go out for morning walks, didn't attend the seniors' afternoon tea, and didn't show up on our block's spring cleaning day in April. I didn't blame her. Some people need time to get used to a new place, especially after a great loss. I only knew from the movers that Irene had lived in Colorado for 40 years before her husband passed away from cancer. After that, she sold everything and moved here to be near her husband's granddaughter. But no one had ever seen that granddaughter. And Irene continued living alone like that until one rainy afternoon this October, she knocked on my door standing under the wet awning. Empty-handed, her eyes unsure, and she spoke in a soft voice. "I'm sorry. I hope I'm not bothering you, but I need a lighter to light the gas stove. I can't find a single one in all that stuff." She didn't say anything else, but I understood right away this wasn't just about borrowing a lighter. I invited her inside, handed her the lighter, and poured her a warm cup of tea. I let her sit on the peach-colored velvet chair. She looked around and sighed, not trying to hide it. "Your house is so tidy," she said. "I wish I knew how to begin." Just that one sentence opened up an entire afternoon unlike any other. I didn't ask why she needed a candle in the rain. I simply started a gentle conversation. I asked if she liked the little mint plant I was growing. Then I told her there were days I couldn't find my scissors because the house was full of papers. I said old papers, new papers, notes, bills, letters. I once had a drawer full of printed pages. From 2010 back then, I didn't know. All it took was 15 minutes a week. Soft music and cleaning just one drawer, and I would no longer be buried under useless paper. Irene looked at me and nodded slightly. She said my papers are in 3 plastic tubs. There are even letters. My husband wrote me back when he worked away from home. I never reread them, but I can't throw them away either. I said I understand. No one said you have to throw them out, but we can keep just the ones that truly make us smile. The rest, maybe, just take a photo, turn them into a little booklet, or ask a grandchild to save them on a hard drive. That way, we keep what matters without letting the paper gather dust around us. Then she told me about her unused kitchen tools like 2 toasters, a juicer, and way too many spatulas. Because whenever she couldn't find the old one, she bought another one during a grocery trip, and they all stacked up in a small damp kitchen. I said I used to be like that too. I had 4 soup ladles, but used only one for 4 straight years. Then one day, I opened the drawer looking for batteries and found 3 rolls of tape, 5 small scissors and 7 pens that no longer worked. I called it my chaos drawer. Everyone has one like that. I didn't clean it all at once, I just gave it a name. And each week, I pulled out 3 things. Keep 1 toss. 1, donate 1. Irene listened and smiled softly. That was the first time I saw her smile. I knew that smile wasn't for my tip or my tea. It was because she didn't feel alone anymore. And I believe if you've ever felt lost in your own home, then today's story might have something for you too. I'm going to share 19 groups of items that can make a small home like Irene's feel overwhelming. And I'll also tell you about the steps she took, the small changes she made, and how each one helped her feel a little lighter. After that visit to borrow a lighter, you might agree with some of it or not, but just listen to the whole story. You'll be surprised because sometimes the shift inside a person begins with something very small. If you've ever felt overwhelmed by paper gadgets or items you don't even know the purpose of, consider subscribing to this channel and continue the journey with us. The next parts will reveal more ideas that are simple but deeply meaningful. And if you've listened this far, I'm truly grateful for your time. I still remember the next morning when Irene came back and knocked on my door. This time she brought a small homemade cake. She said softly, "Thank you for sitting with me yesterday. I think I'll start with the paperwork." I invited her in. "No need for cake," I said, "as long as your home feels a bit lighter, that's enough." We sat for almost another hour. This time she shared more, no longer as hesitant as the day before. She said, "I actually still clean every day. I sweep the floor, wipe the counters, fold my blankets neatly. But the more I clean, the more tired I feel, because there's still too much stuff." "Every corner has something spilling into it," I asked. "What do you think makes you feel the most exhausted?" She said, "It's not the big items, it's the little things. So many little things, but they're everywhere. Plastic bags, rubber gloves, empty containers, glass cleaner bottles with just a few drops left. Dull scissors, old hair ties, stained rags, stacks of napkins saved to wipe the table." She said, "I thought I was being frugal, but I ended up just collecting dust." Then she told me about the wardrobe, where she kept most of her old work coats. Some hadn't been worn in 10 years. Some had frayed collars, missing buttons. But they were all folded neatly at the back of the shelf, she said. "I don't know why I keep them. Maybe because I once thought they were beautiful. Or maybe because I'm afraid if I throw them out, I'll have nothing to wear when it gets too cold." Then she looked at me and said very quietly, "But after yesterday, I realized what I need is lightness, not plenty." I sat still and said nothing more. I knew she was truly ready to change, not just to tidy her house, but to breathe easier in her heart. Then she continued, "I have a small cabinet in the bedroom full of expired medications, vitamin bottles, with just 3 pills left and a few old eye drop bottles I no longer use. I kept them thinking I might need them again someday. But every time I open the door, all I see is clutter." I told her, if something makes you sigh, every time you look at it, then maybe it no longer belongs there. We don't have to wait until it expires. Sometimes the simple fact that we no longer want to use it is enough to say thank you and goodbye. She went quiet for a moment, then softly said, "I also have a small drawer filled with old chargers, broken headphones, and some outdated phones. I don't even know if they still work, but I kept them thinking someone might need them. But it's been 3 years and no one's ever asked." I smiled gently. "I used to have a box like that too." I called it my not sure box. I gave it a name to help myself let go. She laughed, a kind, soft laugh like a breath, and I knew that was the first sign she had started. No promises, no declarations, just a smile and a drawer. 2 days later, Irene told me she wanted to try decluttering by clear categories. No more random cleaning. I asked, "Where do you want to start?" She smiled. "I think I'll begin with the things that make me feel most stuck." She took out a piece of paper and wrote down each group. She didn't speak in general terms. She gave them clear, precise names, and with every group she named, I saw a corner of my own house appearing too. The first group she called old papers. It included bills, letters, notes, notebooks, and even warranty slips for appliances. She had already thrown away long ago. She said I kept them in drawers, plastic bins under cabinets, and even inside old suitcases just in case I might need them. But when I actually needed something, I still never knew where it was. She gathered them all together, spent an afternoon sorting them into 3 piles, one to keep, one to scan, and one to shred. She said, when I saw the pile that had gone through the shredder, I felt like a weight had been torn off my chest. The second group was extra kitchen tools. She said she had 7 can openers, 3 tongs and 5 soup ladles, but really only used 1 of each. She took a cardboard box, labeled it duplicate utensils, and every time she opened a kitchen cabinet and saw an extra item she didn't choose to use, she would drop it into that box at the end of the week. She donated the box to a local center that supports new immigrants. The third group was inherited items, things she kept because someone once cherished them, but she herself never truly used, like her mother-in-law's glass cup. Set an embroidered artwork from her aunt, or a bath towel from the 80s. She said I kept them out of fear of letting down those who came before me, but I never touched them with my heart. She took pictures of each item, wrote down a memory or 2, and carefully wrapped them up to send to cousins who still remembered. The old days. The fourth group was outdated decorations, porcelain figurines, fake flower vases, cracked photo frames, and string lights with burned-out bulbs. She said some of those things once made the home feel warm, but now they only made her eyes feel heavy. She cleaned the ones that were still beautiful, let go of the rest, and replaced them with a fresh flower arrangement she made herself. Each week, the fifth group was old books. She loved reading, once a nurse, but always passionate about history and fiction. She had nearly 400 books on 3 shelves and in several plastic bins. But she said, I can't read them all again. I just want to keep the ones that make me smile when I see the spine. The rest I gave to the elementary school library nearby. The 6th group was unworn clothes, long-sleeve tops with stretched collars, dresses, still with tags that no longer fit. Scarves she rarely used, but that filled an entire drawer. She took one morning to lay them all out on the bed, tried each one on and said, if it doesn't make me want to wear it right now, then I'll let it go. The 7th group was small keepsakes, like the first movie ticket with her husband, a Christmas card from a niece long ago, or a keychain from a trip to Italy. She placed them into a wooden box she called the curated memory box every month. She would switch one item from the box to display on her desk. The 8th group was furniture that no longer fit her needs. She said there was a large sofa that took up half the room, but no one sat on it. A coffee table too low that hurt her back every time she bent over, and a tall cabinet with 3 shelves that only held paper towels and tangled cords. She gave away. The sofa switched to a single chair with armrests, and used lightweight rattan baskets instead of the large cabinet. The 9th group was items piled up in the basement and attic boxes of winter clothes decorations from decades ago. Old space heaters and ski outfits that no longer fit. She went through each box, labeled them clearly, and decided anything she hadn't used in 3 years would not be kept. The 10th group was things that were broken but never repaired, like a flickering desk lamp, a noisy hairdryer, and a wall clock that stopped ticking since last summer. She gathered them all, fixed what was worth fixing, and let go of what wasn't. She said, "I don't want things around me that remind me of delay. I want to look around and see everything working." The 11th group was expired toiletries and half-used bathroom items. Irene said she had an entire cabinet filled with shampoo bottles, lotion jars and ointments, many of which had just a few drops left, but she couldn't bring herself to toss. Some had changed color, some expired. 2 or 3 years ago, she said, I kept thinking I'd finish them, but every time I opened the cabinet, it just smelled old. She took a small basket set aside, the things still usable, and brought the rest to the pharmacy for proper disposal. The 12th group was old chargers, outdated electronics and unused tech items. She had 4 charging cords that no one knew what they were for 3 old phones, 2 swollen power banks, and a tiny music player with a forgotten password. She gathered them, all kept only the one cord that worked with her. Current phone. Asked her grandson to check the rest. Then recycled them, she said. When I'm left with one cord, I truly understand. I feel at peace. The 13th group was her abandoned craft space and hobbies. Irene used to love knitting card making and scrapbooking, but after her husband passed, she hadn't touched them again. The dining table had turned into a pile of yarn-colored paper. Scissors and ribbons, she cleared the space, kept her sewing kit and a few favorite yarns, and donated the rest to a senior center where women still knit winter hats for children, she said when I saw my table. Clean again, I felt more ready to cook a meal for someone than to sit in the middle of forgotten plans. The 14th group was overcrowded. Displays. She had 3 shelves full of family photos, souvenirs, birthday gifts, and travel figurines, she said. I treasure them all, but I can't really see them. My eyesight is weaker now, and the shelves are dusty. I clean, but I don't truly see, so I picked 3 items per shelf. Ones that made me smile and remember, and boxed up the rest with labels. I switch them now and then for a fresh feeling. The 15th group was unfinished projects. She had a sweater half knitted since 2018, an unopened watercolor set, books marked halfway through, and a bonsai pot never planted. She said, I thought I needed more time, but really I've lost interest, so I call them things I once wanted. I kept only one, reading, and gave away the rest. The 16th group was items kept just in case. Glass jars, loose lids, single buttons, fabric scraps, old hangers, twist, ties, leftover wood pieces. She put them into one small bin. With a limit, she said, if something can only be used for a task I've never actually done, I don't need it. The 17th group was unused outdoor items like rusted folding chairs, cracked plastic pots, a badminton racket with torn strings, and a moldy old picnic blanket, she said. I used to hope someone would sit outside with me. But now I know if I don't use it, no one will do it for me. She kept 2 light chairs, one small table, and a freshly potted plant. The 18th group was the junk drawer, which she called the place for things, with no home, dried-out pens, loose batteries, rubber bands, empty lighters, keys that fit no lock. She spent one morning sorting it all, created clear categories, kept only 3 items, and gave the rest away or placed them in clearly labelled spots. The 19th group was old seasonal decorations. She no longer used a Christmas light box with broken wiring, New Year's cards from 10 years ago, yellowed foam gift boxes. She kept a few truly meaningful ones, a paper angel made by her grandchild, a few shiny ornaments and a red and white table runner. The rest she packed up and donated to the local church. She said, "I don't need to keep the holiday in a box. I want to keep it in my spirit." When she finished telling me about the 19th group, I stayed silent. Not because I had nothing to say, but because I saw clearly that she wasn't just decluttering her home, she was also redefining her relationship with memory, with the present and with herself. A week after naming the final group, Irene came over with empty hands. She sat down, didn't speak right away, just looked out to the garden. I poured her tea. Then she said, "You know, this morning I woke up and felt like this house is truly mine." I asked, "What about the mornings before?" She said, "Back then, I'd get up, step out of bed, open the bedroom door. But I always felt like I was just visiting, living beside the past, surrounded by things I didn't know what to do with. But this morning was different, no more. Things blocking the way, no more. In between stuff I couldn't decide on. Everything has a place now, including me," she smiled. I asked, "Is there anything you still regret letting go of?" She shook her head. "I kept what makes me happy. I don't miss the things that used to make me sigh." I told her I had felt that way too, that feeling when you look at an empty table and it doesn't feel like something's missing, when you stand in a clean kitchen and find what you need in under 5 seconds. I asked her the same question I often ask myself after decluttering a little corner. "Do you feel lighter?" She nodded, then asked me back, "Have you ever felt lighter after letting go of something?" I nodded and replied, "Many times. There was a time I let go of a shirt that had belonged to my wife. I had kept it for nearly 10 years after she passed away. I placed my hand on it, said thank you, and let it go. And that night, I slept much more deeply. I believe you felt that too, or maybe you're hoping to feel it soon. If you've ever cleaned a space and felt like you could breathe again, leave a number 1 in the comments. And if you're still feeling lost, not sure where to start, leave a 0. I want to know where you are in this journey, and I believe Irene would be happy to know her story inspired someone out there that day. She brought over a picture frame. Inside was an old photo of her and her husband from a beach trip in 1985. She said, "I've already hung it in my living room, but I think you should keep it because I only remembered it after clearing all 19 groups, and I want it to live where this journey began." I held the photo, didn't say a word. I knew. Sometimes decluttering is the simplest way to reconnect with what we thought we had forgotten. Not because we stopped loving it, but because we want to love it in a new way. A way not tied to regret but to gratitude. From a single lighter lost in a mess of nameless items to 19 clear groups with names and meaning. Irene's story wasn't just about tidying up. It was about moving from feeling stuck to feeling free, from hesitation to peace. And most of all, from loneliness to connection. I never expected that a neighbor who once quietly closed her door would open her heart with a sentence as small as "I need a lighter." But I realized sometimes what we need to change is not a big plan, but just the courage to speak up about something small. I learned so much from her, not just decluttering tips or item categories, but the way she was gentle with herself. She never rushed, never forced herself to throw everything away. She simply chose to keep what made her smile and gave a name to each thing she touched. I'm not telling this story to teach anyone anything, but to let you know that you are not alone. Everyone, at some point, will have a room like Irene once had, a drawer like I once had, and one day, a cup of tea poured when someone knocks on the door in the rain. If you are beginning, I hope this story gives you a small anchor. If you're somewhere in the middle, I hope you hold on to what warms your heart. Thank you for staying until the very end of this journey. That truly means a lot to us. If today's story touched you even just a little, then that is already a great joy. We are grateful that you took the time to listen and walk alongside Irene, one small step at a time. Wishing you good health, and may you live lightly in your own home. And if you find this journey meaningful, please hit subscribe so we can continue sharing the simple but profound things. Goodbye, and may you have a truly peaceful day.